Guys. So I'm just gonna wait for a few people to pop in, and most importantly, our artist that we're gonna talk to, Kelly Rossetti. I see Dylan joined. Hi, Dylan. So Kelly is an artist that we have she's featured in our current exhibition along with Dan Polera, and I see she just joined here, so I'm going to try to invite her in if I can. Here we go. Now, and we'll get started. Did I do that right? Hi!
Hi!
You're here.
How
are you? I can't totally see. Is it kind of sunny today behind you?
Very sunny, yes.
That's good. Finally.
See outside the windows there. Yeah.
Nice. Beautiful. All right. So we can just hop right in. We're going to start with, so I guess for anybody who has just joined, we're starting our interview slash studio tour with Kelly. She's an abstract artist and a figurative artist that we have currently, we've got her in an exhibition right now that's on view at Sorelle. So if you're local to Sorelle, please stop by and take a look. She's with Dan Polera, who is got a different style, but they work beautifully together. So we can start with a little tour of your studio, which just from your background right now, I'm extremely excited to see more of it. And then we'll get into a Q&A and we'll talk a little bit more. So I will hand it over to you, and you can just do your thing.
Now I'm curious. Oh, I can move my camera. I can flip my camera, right? Let's see.
Should be able to. Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
Yes.
So I will start outside so that this is one of the quotes that I have pinned up on my door so you can see. It says, better to be reckless than careful, better to be bold than safe, better to have your work seen and remembered, or you have struck out. There's no, that's kind of like what I live by.
Yeah.
But this is the building that I'm in. You can see it's big hallway, windows. This is outside my studio. More studios down there. So there's like ceramicists, there's painters, there's some musicians. Linda Coletta is down there. I don't know if you know who she is, but she's my art hero. So here's the studio. It's got 25-foot ceilings. I just moved in here about 2 weeks ago. So really still like getting my bearings in the space. But it's great. So you can just get a little flavor of some work happening over here. This is like a newer piece that I just finished.
Wow.
As you know, I love the nudes. So this is collage on one of my abstracted works on paper. Just kind of give you, so like here's all like paper stuff that I have. I do occasionally do a little portraiture. So that's an oil on panel. Some other big portraits over there. You know, I like to keep it loose, very expressive. I like to change up my work a lot because I get bored very easily. Some stuff I have going on the floor. Here's a big guy. That's 72 by 60, I think. So here, this is obviously work in progress. I'm playing with, you know, the idea of negative space and like opposites, which I really like. This is, I'm going to get in nice and close so you can really get a feel. This is oil and cold wax on birchwood panel. I love painting on birchwood panels. My desk, some more abstracted landscapes. There's one of my ladies. This is my oil table. It's some of my favorite tools right here. I just set that up. I thought I'd make use of that ladder that's just been sitting there. Yeah. And then up there is storage. So this is pretty much it. So it's really great. It's afforded me a lot of space to, you know, work on multiple collections at one time, and, you know, hopefully working a little bit larger, which is, you know, something that I've wanted to do for a while.
Right. So I have to ask, because you I saw paintings on the wall, on an easel, on the floor. Um, so and then I think I even saw one that was just sort of flat on the table, which might have been sort of like post painting process. I'm not sure. So I have to ask, do you paint on all those types of surfaces? Do you have a favorite? Is your studio laid out for specific pieces to be in certain locations on purpose, or is that just sort of like it's all out and you just go for it whenever you want?
It's all hell breaks loose, and it is whatever it is. But I definitely love working on the wall. And then, yeah, you're right. Like, I've got some stuff on the ground right there that I'm working on. I have work on paper that's on the table over here. This
Okay.
is kind of my landscape section over here. So at least I can I'll work on multiple landscapes. A lot of times what I'm doing is I'm working on multiple collections, multiple pieces at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
That like for so many reasons, because I get bored within a piece, or maybe I get stuck, and so then I want to jump onto something else. So I will literally work on like multiple pieces at a time, and it's kind of cool because it infuses like that energy of the day into all of the work. And then if something's not working, you can jump in, like move on to something else, so like your brain doesn't get fried. You know what I mean?
Yes, I do know what you mean. That makes a lot of sense to me. So you said that the paper piece was on the table. Do you tend to use that table for exclusively paper, or do you go back and forth with that?
Yeah, no. Mostly it's like where I just put my junk, and then I move everything all over the place. So yeah,
Right, right.
no wrong, really.
And I know you said there was sort of an oil station. Is oil what you gravitate toward, or do you ever go outside of oils for anything in particular? Or
Yeah, it depends. Actually, what I like to do time is I like to work in acrylic first, and then
oh,
general oil on top. Although with my figurative work, it's usually, but I really love like the freedom of the quick drying of acrylic. I can, as you can see, like I sometimes like to be really bold, really expressive. And I find that when working in acrylics, I can get a lot of layers done quickly, and it just satisfies that need. Like I can't wait around all day, oils to be dry. I need to move. I gotta go fast.
yeah. I gotcha. Okay, very cool. Um, okay, so I'll just get started with our Q&A, and just for anybody who's watching, if you do have any questions, feel free to pop them in the comments, and I'll do my best to relay them to Kelly eventually at some point throughout the conversation. So first off, I just want to talk to you a little bit about how you got started as an artist. Obviously, we just saw abstracts, we saw nudes, we saw a little portraiture. So really, I would love to hear, how did all of this begin?
Yeah, I feel like I've told this story like so many times. I hope it doesn't sound robotic. My background is fashion. I was in the industry for 13, 14 years, something like that. I just, at one point, I told my husband, I'm like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I cannot do it. And so I upped and quit my job. And I was like, I'm just going to take 2 months off, 4 months maybe, just really find out what I want to do next. And during that time, I picked up a paintbrush, which I hadn't done since high school. And I was like, oh man, this is pretty fun. I kind of like this. Yeah. And then I decided to take a class, and that turned into really more progressive study, and that turned into me like really feeling like, oh, this is something that I want to devote my life to. And so fast forward now, like this is kind of, that's where it started.
Wow, that's amazing. So it was just that one day that I'm going to quit my job, and then it just flowed from there. I think that's always such a nice story to hear, because I think there's so much fear around quitting your job, letting yourself explore those kinds of things. I think that's always, anytime I hear a story like that, it always sort of is, I think it brings a little bit of a hope maybe to people. You know what I mean? It's nice to hear someone that said, I did it and I kept going with it, and it worked out.
I think for me,
Um,
sorry, I was just going to say, it's a little for me because I wasn't like a painter for 15 years. I said, let me try to career ago. I literally quit my job and discovered painting after the fact. You know what I mean?
right.
Luckily, I was fortunate enough to be in a situation where I was able to do that. I feel so bad for so many creative people that they want to do that and they can't,
Right, right. Yeah, yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah, no, it definitely helps to sort of be, part of it is the position that you're in before you take that plunge. But I think just, especially like you say, like for creatives, being a creative is a scary thing. I
Yeah.
think it's just that just in general is nerve wracking. So that's baked into the taking the leap. Um, so we've seen your studio. We've talked a little bit about how it's super expressive, and you really just sort of pop and do what feels right. So can you just walk us through just the sort of step by step creative process from sort of concept to the final product? How does that look for you?
Hmm. Well, generally, what I typically do is I'm working on. I pick some kind of theme. Like I know I want to work on a group of abstracted landscapes, and I know I want to work on a series of blue abstracts or whatever. So I like to at least work on 4 or 5 pieces of each series at a time. Uh,
Gotcha.
that before I would just do like one off, one off, one off, one off, and I was like, why am I working this way? Like that's a crazy way to work. So now
Mhm.
I'm starting to work in collections, hopefully at least 8 pieces because, some fall off. But it's great because if you're working on one piece in the collection, one ultimately rises to the top, and then it helps progress the others, forward.
Oh, yeah.
This is amazing. The goes woof, way above it, and then it helps bring up all of the work and the whole collection. Um, what was the question again?
Step by step creative process, which you sort of that is, I think that's unique. You did get into it. You didn't stray too far from it. But so you start on. Did you say you start with like a color? So you want to do blue abstracts, so you get several of them going at once, and one rises to the top, and then the others sort of follow suit based on what you like about that one.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. And so how does it begin? Like when you say, I've decided I want to do blue abstracts, where does that initial feeling come from? Or is it just like you're not sure? It just pops up. Because that, I suppose, especially for creatives, it's in equal amounts maybe sometimes, that it just sort of comes. But is there ever anything in particular that you find like really brings inspiration, or maybe if you've got a bit of a creative block, where do you look for that, or anything? How does it spark?
Yeah. You know what? I think generally, like, sorry, my studio is on a very, very busy. Uh,
That's okay.
yeah, generally, I don't really have, sometimes I don't know what the hell I'm going to do, if I'm being completely honest. I
Yeah.
just start painting. And then a lot of times, even like with inspiration, I'm not looking and like, I don't go, hey, today I'm going to go seek out my inspiration. Like, that's not how it works. Not for me anyway, like
Hmm.
daily living, you're inspired, excuse me, by anything, by the way the light hits something or the way, the color of a bird or whatever it is. But I find that I get inspired through painting, and really how I find my way. And the same goes like collections and as color palettes. I'll generally have a starting point because obviously you have to start somewhere, but it's not like premeditated, And a lot of times I'm going, I'm going. I'm not really truly thinking about it. I know that sounds a little crazy, but I'm just going. Like
Yeah.
start picking up colors, and I love love to play with color combinations and do things that I haven't done and play with colors that I haven't worked with before. And
Right.
obviously you've seen my work, like I very much enjoy like a hot pink brushstroke.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love to mix it up with some bold things that maybe at first glance you're like, what the hell is she doing there? But like that's kind of the point.
Right. And that was going to be one of my questions, is you do use these really unique combinations that are, you'll have a predominantly blue piece, and then that hot pink will be it'll just show up. Or even I feel like I've seen some of the green colors you've used, and they're not, I don't see them often. And that's what I love so much about your work, is actually the color selections you make are not, you don't see them every day. So how do you, um, you know, if it is intuitive, and you're just sort of letting it flow out, what, like, are you pre-mixing colors? Like, if a specific, if you know, okay, I want to do abstract blue pieces, and where do the accent pieces come from? Are you thinking in advance, okay, I think I might want to try this one, but I'm just going to leave it here? Or how does that color come? And I understand that you've said it's totally intuitive, but I guess in terms of like the details of that process, are you mixing as you go? Or what is, just, I guess I'm just interested in hearing more about color for you, because it is such a primary component of your work.
Yeah. Well, and it depends at what stage, but generally I'm mixing all of the time. I'm mixing as I go. And I try really to not be afraid of putting the color in there, knowing that if it doesn't work, I can cover it up. You know,
Right.
I think I really enjoyed that freedom of mixing a lot of colors, of trying the bold shit, and having the freedom of saying, okay, I'm gonna balls to the wall. I'm gonna try this. Sorry, I try not to curse too much, but I
That's fine.
I'm gonna fucking try it. It works, and if it works, awesome. If it doesn't, I'm gonna try something else. I'll paint over it. You know, like
Right.
there's freedom in letting you like just try a color that other people are scared to try. You know.
Right. Yeah, yeah. And I do think you accomplished that, because that's one of the first things when I first saw your work. It was one of the first things that jumped out to me, is that these are unique, not only just individually colors, but they're unique combinations, with one another. So definitely from a memorable experience to be in a room with your work. I think that's for sure. So in terms of your creative process, what part of it do you like best? And then on the flip side, what part, if any, do you like least? Are there any challenges that tend to come up? I'll do that in a two-part question.
I love the beginning, and I hate the middle, and I hate the end.
Easy answer. Okay, so why the beginning? What's the, and I guess I can understand that based off of everything else you've said, given that it's about being bold and it's about making those big moves. And if you use acrylic at the beginning, you can be a little bit more. I was going to say when you said that you can always cover it up, I was like, that's the beauty in acrylic, I guess, is that quick drying time that you it's way more forgiving than in oil. So what about it? What about the beginning is the prime time for you?
Yeah, the beginning is just like there's just no pressure in the beginning. It's complete freedom.
Mhm.
I took so many workshops throughout, the last 10 years or whatever, and they always talked about play. There was always like this comment around play and really just enjoying the process and not being so caught up and concerned about the outcome.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, when you're starting and you're just being completely free, it just evokes like so much happiness. Like it's just amazing. Like, and you don't have so much of that pressure you feel in the middle stage when it's really ugly and you're like, oh my God, what
How
the
do we
hell?
get out of this?
Why am I painting this? I'm
Yeah.
going to put it out. It's time to slash it. Like, a lot of artists can relate to like that ugly, messy middle that we all hate. And you just have to push through
Yeah.
and get through there. And like the ending, yeah, I hate the ending also. It's like, ugh, I hate finishing paintings. I don't know. Just don't like it. It's probably why I start so much stuff and then I can't finish anything.
Right, right, right. So how do you know when it's done? Is that also just intuitive? I mean, I asked that specifically because you just said you really don't like finishing a painting. So I have to ask, how do you know when that point is, since you don't really enjoy it?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's funny because the last post, it was actually about this painting back here behind me, and I said something about like minimalism or haven't I gone far enough? And,
Mm,
um, so it's a question that you're constantly asking yourself. But I think ultimately if it's done. Like if something's just not feeling right, it's definitely not. I think for me, more like if I just look at this work and talk about this work. Did I just pause it? Oh,
no, you're good.
okay.
Right.
About this work a little bit. Like I really wanted to work a little bit more minimally rather than just so many layers I've done that before, and I've done less of this. So this is something that I want to explore. But now I'm asking myself these questions. Well, is it too minimal? I've never actually painted like this before. Like, ooh, I love all the hearts. Thank you so much. So, like, that's a dialogue, an internal dialogue that I need to have with myself and decide, like, do I want to put, how far do I want to push this? Do I really want to keep it very minimal and just soft and sweet the way that it is? So,
Right.
I don't know. And to be honest, I'm not even sure yet. I need to sit with the work for longer so that I can really make those decisions.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, so okay, so I wanna move into style. You have, as we saw, you've got this body of abstract work in a variety of different palettes. And then you've got, well, we saw one portraiture piece, but you've got this body of figurative, uh, uh, abstract figurative nudes mostly, right?
Mhm.
And we just actually at Sorelle, we just got 5 of them, I wanted 6 of them maybe, that we just added to our website. So anyone who's interested in seeing more of those can head over to our website. The link's in our bio to see more of Kelly's work. So I want to ask, first, did the figurative or did the abstract come, which came first? And then do you feel that one necessarily informs the other, or do you kind of just view them as two sort of styles, bodies, expressions of you that are running parallel to one another? How do they intersect, if at all?
Yeah. Um, so abstract came first. When I
Oh,
first
okay.
paintbrush, it was, it was complete abstract. But if I'm being honest, it was, it was pretty crappy. And when I decided, well, I started studying at the atelier in the city, and that's really when I said, oh, she had all these nude model books around, and I was like, can I like take a figurative drawing class? She's like, yeah, of course. And I really wanted to implement like some of that skill into my abstract work, so that I could kind of correlate some drawing with the abstract because I think they do play. They play together. So that's kind of how it started. And I took one of the classes and I was completely and utterly hooked. I was like, I need to learn how to draw. I need to experiment with this because it was just something. I don't know. I was a ballet dancer when I was younger. Um,
Oh,
there's the form. I've just always loved the human form, and when I was hooked from day one. Like,
right.
and so now, yeah, they definitely run parallel. But I think like if you look at like the abstract and figurative work on paper, it's really a blend, a nice melt of the form and abstraction, and it really feels very unique to me. And that's the kind of figurative work that I kind of want to go forward with. It's like, so it's all working in oils and drawing and keeping some of that line where you're trying to find the line of the figure and keeping it there, even if it's not quite right, so that you can, the viewer can kind of just like get a sense of like that drawing underneath and scraping in and scraping out. And I don't know, I like it.
Yeah. So it's so interesting you said that you used to be a ballet dancer and then it clicked for me that you worked in fashion. And so sort of pure art and the design that goes with that mixed with the human form is pretty much those two. So I understand how the fashion sort of plays in a sense. I don't know if you feel that way, but it kind of clicked for me just now thinking, oh, okay, so you have a background in fashion. When you think about, I mean, I remember years ago, I took a fashion design course and, we were supposed to just we had to use like collage to basically collage the most abstract things on top of like just on a piece of paper on top of the human form. And it was really about move away from what you think of as like a shirt, move away from what you think of as pants. You have to really think of this as turning the body into art. And I think like that's kind of cool to hear that you've got these two things that are running parallel, but obviously they're sort of connected within you. But then you have this sort of past professional life that you were drawn to at some point that has kind of components of that. So that's a really neat thing to sort of see it like kind of culminate again, just in a really different way.
Yeah, it's like you just brought it first full circle. You explained it to me even, I think.
Whew.
But
Well,
yeah,
that's cool.
yeah, and the
Yeah.
fashion piece of it is just really, I think, so much color inspiration, and why I gravitate to so much color is because like that was just a part of my life for so many years. And obviously I loved it. And why, like, like I'm working on these figurative like pieces, like they're colorful, they're bright.
It's colorful. Yeah. Yeah. Right. Really injecting that um, pure expression and art creativity into the human form, which is like that's the best. Um, so how did you how did you end up finding like a comfortable space for each? Because I think, and I suppose I'm not saying that I've heard anybody say this necessarily. It's just sort of what I would imagine would be for artists is that, especially now with sort of Instagram and the I feel artists are being sort of maybe pushed a little to find a brand, you know. Um, so I think it's sort of unique to be an artist that has found comfort in two different things at once and been able to link those two. So was it a little bit uncomfortable for a while to sort of find your space with these two things, whether that be the actual creation or the way that you presented them or the way that you felt as an artist, having these sort of two sides? Or has it just been sort of natural and you never looked back and you've just let it grow?
Yeah, that's a good question. If I'm going to be completely honest with you, which I shall be,
Okay, good.
still uncomfortable. It's
Okay.
hard because I think, yeah, if as you're a professional artist putting yourself out there on a daily basis, have your Instagram, which is like this holy grail. Like, oh, you need to be super consistent. You have to only show this one thing. And I think
Yeah.
a few years ago, I was really focusing on the figurative work. And so a lot of my followers they were there for that. And like now I have some followers that are here for the abstract work. They don't care about the nudes. They don't want to see the nudes. Should I have two separate Instagrams? No, I can't have two separate Instagrams because I can't manage the one that I have.
Right. Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
hard. You're like, how can you post these two different bodies and do people think I'm crazy? Like I'm doing so much stuff. So I still, to be honest, struggle with it. But at the end of the day, I just tell myself like I have to create the work that inspires me, that I am drawn to, and hopefully I will present it in a way that both sets of people will enjoy it. Um, I don't know. I mean, the other thing that's very challenging is having the time to focus towards like a group of figurative work. And like, right, I always feel pulled, and so then you can't really concentrate on one thing. So like that is difficult, and I frankly haven't found a way to manage it.
Gotcha. So, but that's okay. We are all working on everything all the time, trying to get better. So that's part of the art, I guess.
Yeah,
That is it. Um, so I know you said you started with abstract, and you made it sound like it didn't go that well to begin with. So from that first painting, and I suppose side by side comparison to the one behind you, maybe the painting you're most recently created, how would you say you've most changed from that very first piece to your most recent work? Um, what's the biggest difference that you see in that?
yeah. Well, everything has changed, first of all. I mean, I think when I first started, I didn't know anything about composition. I didn't know anything about value and how important value is and how important differences are. And that really came and comes from painting and from learning. And the more you paint, the more you learn. And yeah, if I look at my first paintings, I would think that they're atrocious. I can't looking at them again right now, but there was no composition. I wasn't saying anything, you know. I was just trying to slap some paint on a canvas. And now, you know, I'm really paying attention to what is it that I want to say? What do these brushstrokes evoke? You know, do I like this line? Um, what materials can I play with? All of that type of thing. And yeah, it's quite an evolution.
Right. So, if you could give a piece of advice to that Kelly, making that first piece, what, or just maybe not even the first piece, but that Kelly that was starting out as an artist, what would your advice be to yourself,
Yeah,
younger?
you know, I had really early success when I started painting
Hmm.
my work, like right out of the gate, which is pretty crazy because I didn't know how to paint. And so I put a lot of pressure on myself. And coming from corporate, and I left as a senior sales executive. I ran my own P&L. I had my own team. Like I was responsible for the bottom line. So like I took this corporate mindset with me when I started painting, and I was like,
Right.
I have sold this painting now. I must sell another one. You have to be, and you know, like there was so much pressure that I put on myself in the beginning to be this great artist, whatever the hell that means. And
Yeah.
you know, like I would have given time, you know, and so less pressure.
Right. And not make it more about focus on the art. The art production is what
Yeah,
will fuel
it
you. Yeah.
doesn't matter how unsteady you are, just keep moving forward, you know,
Right.
keep moving forward and take off some pressure.
Yeah, that's awesome. Um, so you kind of mentioned that you now feel you are sort of at least considering whether you have a message while you're working. So do you feel that you have a goal as an artist? Do you feel that you are trying to send a message, and if so, what is it?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure totally of what my message is that I want to convey verbally, but I know that you're seeing something. I want you to feel when you look at that work. Like I'm really hoping that you walk up to that work, you want to stay for a little bit, you want to hang out there, find something, find something else. Really be a little bit moved by some of the way that the paint was applied and the way that maybe it was haphazardly applied. Maybe, you know, the way that it's something is really soft. You know, I really like that balance between something that is hard and soft. I love opposites, you know. Um, so I don't know. Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just like it's a motive. It's about interaction. It's about feeling something as you walk away. Um, so did the pandemic? I know you moved studios this summer, but did the pandemic affect your process, the way that you were creating it all, or what you were creating?
Yeah, not really. I mean, the pandemic really only affected me in the first 4 months because I was home with the kids. So I have 12-year-old and a 5-year-old. So they were both home. And I do also have a home studio. Really lucky for me that I could pop in there when
Right.
but the first 4 months sucked. It was
Yeah.
really, it was hard. And who wants to paint? Like, you're like, oh, it's a pandemic. What are we going to, what are we going
Yeah.
to do? You know, like it was more about the kids at that point. Like we put the tent up in our house, like in our living room. Like we bought a ping pong table that went in our living room. Like, but after that, after the kids went back to work as usual. You know, I'm
Yeah.
always anyway, so it was no different for me. I continued to work and paint.
Yeah. Good. Okay, so we're gonna pivot a little bit to something a little bit different. So, coffee or tea?
Oh, definitely coffee.
Okay. How do you take your coffee?
Just a little bit of milk.
A little bit of milk. Okay. Are you a morning person or a night person?
Morning.
Okay. Do work? Do you work in the studio in the mornings, or
Yeah, well,
when is your best work done?
when I worked at home, I'd get up at 5:30, 6 o'clock, and get an hour
Ooh.
wake up, start working, and then when they'd wake up, get them ready to go, and then I get back to work. I love the mornings. Mornings are great. Can't do that anymore now, as I'm not really using that studio. I come here, but the kids are off. I'm here.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. Um, wow, coming from a definite night owl. So I have a lot of respect for you. So a day at the beach or a day hiking in the mountains?
That is it's a really tough one. I don't know. Beach. No,
Okay.
hike. Hike.
Okay. Okay. There could be water somewhere along the hike.
Right?
Yeah, best of both worlds there. Um, warm weather or cold weather?
Warm.
Okay. Camping or a luxury hotel?
See, I mean, I love all of these things. You're giving me, it's very hard.
All
I would
right.
agree
You
hotel.
you can you if you want with that one you can say maybe it depends on the day. That would be fair, I think.
Yeah, I'll take the pampering, please. Give me, yeah.
Okay. All
Bring me
right. Look.
to bed,
All
yes.
right. Favorite place on earth?
A favorite place on earth is going to be my bed or Italy.
Okay. Both excellent. I would probably agree with you 100%. And finally, what do you do in your free time aside from making more art, which often I get that answer.
I don't have any free time. I don't know what, yeah, honestly, I actually don't. Like, I'm painting or I'm home and I'm home and I'm working on, like, working on painting. Like, there is kind of nothing else.
Okay.
But I love photography. Um, I used to dance, even like up until a few years ago. I was still dancing in the city. I would take some ballet classes every now and then. If
Oh
I
wow.
if I could get back into that, actually, I think I would. But yeah, I love hiking very much. Nature. So anytime I can go for a hike, go for a walk, be at the beach. Obviously I do love abstracted landscapes. So like nature is, it's a part of me.
Right. Nice. Okay, that concludes our Q&A with Kelly. So, I just want to say really quickly, well, first of all, thank you so much, Kelly, for showing us around in your studio, for taking the time to talk today. I learned a lot about you. So I feel like anytime I learn about an artist, um, their work means something to I see it differently afterwards. So I know I personally had a great time talking to you. And for anybody who's watching, if you'd like to see more of Kelly's work, you can head over to the link in our bio and you can read more there also about the current exhibition where her work is featured alongside Dan Polera. And that's up until only for maybe a week or two more. And so if you're local to Westport, feel free to stop by and see it. And otherwise, I will let you have the rest of your your sunny Thursday. You can get back to painting in the studio. And yeah, that's it.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It was great.
Thanks. All right. Talk to you soon, Kelly.
Bye, guys.
Bye, everybody.